You are not like audible for that at all. And hey everybody, we're back for another episode review of Rurouni Kenshin. We're reviewing episode 16.
50.
15?
50 and that man, Rajuda.
It literally wrote 15 up there and I somehow still messed it up. Yay! 1 for 1. Actually 0 for 1. I lost. Anime 1. Okay, yeah. That man Rajuda, and we're here with Spare Magic Helmet.
Hi guys.
Game Hunter, I will actually take the time now before he gets in here and we are on this for 30 minutes. Happy birthday to Frobby when this is being recorded.
Woo, woo.
Even though she doesn't really get older because she only gets older in the comics. And there hasn't been a birthday.
Rob.
What he said. I still find it really weird that her family is a bunch of actual frogs. That she's the only one that's like human, kind of. It still kind of weirds me out. And it's like, I guess I have to accept it mainly just because that's just what the creator wanted. That's really the only thing. That's the only thing I can really just like. It's what confuses me about her family.
You know, I hear that Froppy looks a lot like the mailman. I don't know what to say about that, but.
Oh no, that's a reference to. Moving
what?
On. I don't know what that's a reference to.
In other words, the father isn't really the father.
Oh, that's just horrible. Took me a while to catch on, but that's just horrible.
And if the mother was like, "Hey, how's it going there?"
I think I know the main reason is just like fan art, and it's easier to draw a human female frog person, and like it's easier to do that considering that frogs have longer limbs and they can. I'm just gonna leave that for people's imagination. But that's already too late. But
okay.
I mean, if you look up on the internet,
I'm just saying, Froppy looks a little bit like the mailman. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry to all the people who like didn't think about that at all as a Frobby's lineage. I apologize. And Jock is not sorry.
I'm not sorry at all. I'm never sorry. Hashtag never sorry.
What does that say about you? Okay, move. Episode 50, Not Man Rajuda. Gonna start off with saying it did it again with the cliffhanger. The only reason I'm not so mad as I could be right now is because we're like so far behind in reviewing this show that the next episode's already there. That's the only reason I'm not as mad as I could be about what they're doing here. I can only imagine what this would have been like reviewing this like live as it was going out week by week. This is probably frustrating.
Yeah, it's a little frustrating.
Not really. I mean, the next episode's like there. It's already there, already out. Yeah, this episode kind of focused a little bit on like not a lot, but like some of the storyline that was like prevalent throughout this episode was what's gonna happen to the Way of the Sword. As we all know now, right now, at least as far as I'm aware, this could be completely wrong now, but like as far as I'm aware, swords aren't something that are legal in Japan, or actually anywhere for that matter. But they literally did get phased out.
It's legal to own one. It's just not illegal to be out in public with it. Like, it's legal to own it, but you can't carry it around in public.
I could buy that. As far as I know, like, I mean, like, there's no use for swordsmen because they were more like a military thing, but you know, they don't exist anymore. Which is kind of sad because I'm pretty sure some Japanese probably have like a great grandfather who was a swordsman, you know, at some point, you know, back in the day.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know,
they definitely have someone like that because that's, you know, what they did back then.
It's kind of like
I don't know what to tell you, dude. these people, these swordsmen had kids.
Well, not all of them. I mean, we're not gonna get
Enough of them that, somewhere down the line, there's someone with a great great
50-50.
grandfather.
But dang it. But yeah, this is interesting episodes. We'll talk about it. But it's kind of interesting that the idea of like carrying on like swords, like this, like sword styles and whatnot, is kind of prevalent through here. Granted, it was done in different ways, as we'll actually get to. First, the beginning of the episode starts off with, and again, I just say, of course, we needed this. We needed this part in the episode. Kaoru is getting dressed. It's kind of interesting too. They show us that she's wearing a sarashi, I think is how you pronounce it. A sarashi, a binding for her chest, which is interesting that she's wearing that, because that means that she might be bigger in that area than we think.
I guess instead of a bra, that's what they wore back then, maybe?
Yes and no. From what I understand, and this is just in general from what I understand, because of the way female clothing is, and if people aren't aware of this, people probably should be aware of this. In Japan, clothing is smaller, and well, not just in Japan, but in the eastern part of the world, it's smaller on just about everybody. And women having really big boobs is kind of like not ideal. Because like kimonos like that are flat in the front. If you probably have seen women wear these things, you see them, they're normally flat up there. They're made so that when they fit in those things, they're like, they have a room in there. So the sarashi is just a way to bind down their boobs, which is also probably a way to, instead of a bra at the time. But why instead like a binding is sometimes is used to bind those things down, so that way they're not as noticeable when they're wearing kimonos or yukatas, the stuff that traditional Japanese women that Japanese women wear. Typically, that's kind of why you see like they're always flat out there. Like there's nothing. Now in anime, you sometimes see when the women aren't flat up there, but it also makes it difficult for them to wear these things. So it's like it's a really weird thing. It's really freaking weird. I don't think sarashis are common now. I do think they still exist though, but I don't think they're common.
It seems like a lot of trouble if you could just put a bra on.
But that's if they're trying to wear a normal shirt. I mean, if they're trying to bind them down so they can put on something that's traditionally more slim, then yeah, they would probably need to. If they're really, in doubt of there. That's only if they're really in doubt of there, though.
Right.
Well,
which is enough people where something would be needed fairly commonly, right?
No, I mean, I'm pretty sure that it was a thing that happened because they needed to make those things, but I don't think it's as common because, at least from my understanding from Japanese women in general, modern women, that one of the bigger complaints of being bigger chested is that they don't make a lot of clothes for them. Ideally, Japanese women, the ideal woman is smaller. That's part of the reason why I keep on saying that it must suck to be female in Japan. Which it sounds like it does. Yeah. I think the common use is to keep it down, because I also do know too sometimes in families over there, I don't know how common this is now, it probably isn't. If the family wanted to, pass down or like keep their family name alive or whatever, if they had a daughter and they had more than one daughter and they never had a son, usually have the girl pose as a dude, and mainly because men are kind of feminine looking down there, it doesn't really, a girl could pass as a dude down there. They would also wear a binding like that. I think there's more like reasoning. I'm probably dumbing it down, but I think there's more of like a historical reason behind everything. I haven't really looked into it because I just found the very what I saw of his uses in some places, I was like, okay, well, that kind of sucks. I mean, it also probably make it harder to breathe, but I mean, And if that's the fashion that they have, that's the fashion that they have. And I don't think Kairos is really all that type. Again, I don't know. Again, I'm saying like maybe she's a lot more endowed up there than you think she is. But who the heck really knows? They don't really let us in on that. I'm guessing like it might be for her. It might just be a bra, you know, because it keeps it keeps her girls from bouncing.
Right.
I can't believe I just said that. Yeah, that was.
And Yahiko got to see it.
Huh? What?
And Yahiko got to see it.
I want to say, I honestly think what Yahiko did there was more telling than you probably would think. I think that just shows that Yahiko does not see her as a woman.
Oh yeah, I think so too. She sees herself as a woman though. She beat the crap out of him for it.
Well, I mean, yeah, depending her modesty,
Mm-hmm.
quote unquote.
Kenshin outside being like, "Oro."
Oh, he just like, oh, I see that you're not being what was the word he used? It was like you're not abusive. It was like you're not as like you're as hard on him as you always are. And then she got upset with that. I'm like, okay.
What do you mean? Getting
Just,
ready to beat him too.
like slams Yahiko on the ground, and then she's like, and Kenshin's like, oh, you going somewhere again? Yeah, she said she's going to go to this other dojo that she goes to monthly, which is kind of interesting because we never see her leave. But okay. She go in there and she offers to take Kenshin, and Kenshin's like, nah, I'm not gonna go. Like, I got some stuff to do around the house, and then she's like gonna threaten him with groceries. Which I find funny that it worked.
She's like, then you will go shopping for me. And he's like, no, I'll go. You're like, really? That's what it took?
Not the shopping. Not the shopping.
Anything but picking up salt for you.
Like she takes some. Was there at any point showing that Yahiko was going? Because I found that really weird that Yahiko kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Yahiko just kind of appeared.
Okay, so I wasn't crazy. I wasn't crazy. I was this.
No, just it was almost random. It was like a Yahiko is like entered the chat.
I was so confused. I was like, wait, did Yahiko say he was coming? Maybe he.
No, he's not even.
Maybe he was dragged with her. Maybe she dragged him with her? I had no idea.
Guess so.
There's only I can think.
Or he was impatient waiting to go for the dojo in the first place, and that's why he opened the door.
That might be it, actually. Because he did this. Is how long you're going to take before she beats him on the head. But yeah, they go to the dojo. Kenshin gets threatened and going with grocery. They goes, and then we cut away, and apparently there's this little kid like running to this big giant man wearing a straw hat with a sword on the ground, and apparently this kid was gathering information about the other dojos. Apparently got information on the dojo that Kaoru was going to, and it also got information on Kenshin. I'm guessing Kenshin's making waves, being as strong as he is where he is. Like, he cannot keep himself hidden. Like,
right.
Like he beats up one police officer, and all of a sudden everybody knows his name.
Well, he's done a lot more than that now.
Well, I mean, yeah, I know, but I'm just saying it's one of those things. Like, you know, I guess his like peaceful lifestyle is like not so peaceful anymore.
No,
it's actually surprising. This man is so strong, yet he just wants to live a peaceful life.
I know. Well, he wants to live a virtuous, peaceful life.
Still a peaceful life that he wants to lead. I mean, he doesn't really want to get involved with too many altercations.
I don't know if he especially wants a peaceful life. I think he wants to protect, which isn't necessarily a peaceful thing.
I mean, you say protect, but it doesn't look like he wants to get involved in all that many altercations. Doesn't have the altercations he gets involved in, he gets dragged into.
He doesn't hesitate to get into an altercation if it means protecting somebody, though.
I guess. I mean,
if there's someone to protect, if there's someone to protect, he doesn't hesitate. He gets into it. If he won't fight just for show. He won't fight if it's not necessary. But as soon as there's someone in actual danger, he'll jump in.
That's true. That's true. This guy, who we find out later on is Raijuda, a very competent and very strong swordsman, as we actually learn. This kid is, this kid is like giving information about these two places, and he gets up and he's like, "Follow me to the dojo." And then we cut back, and we're now at the dojo. Name of this place?
You gotta wonder what the hell he was doing, just sitting there, like
probably just resting.
Just when he has like spare time, he just likes to sit against a tree.
I guess. I mean, guys really.
The kid knew where to find him. The kid knew where to find him. Like he just ran right there. It's like, all right, you sit here and do absolutely nothing. I'm gonna go find out everything. I'll be back in a few hours. Comes back a few hours. The guy is still just sitting against that same tree.
I mean, when you're a wandering killer, I mean, you gotta find time to relax.
I guess so. It just doesn't seem like a good time.
When your entire life is dedicated to swords fighting, I don't know if you have any other hobbies. So I'm just.
I mean, they've got that. He's got that mansion he can stay at that we find out about later. He's like, I could stay at the mansion, but you know what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna sit against this tree.
I mean, he's out there looking for strong people. We go back to the we go back to Cairo, go into the mic.
He's actually out there looking for weak people to beat up.
You're not wrong. We go back to the mic.
He wants to eliminate 500. He wants to eliminate 500 sword styles. So he's looking, and he talks about the weak being cold and the strong surviving. So, and apparently he wants to be the only sword style. So he's looking for sword styles that are weaker than his, so that he can go out and defeat them all. So he's actually looking for the weak, not the strong.
I just simplify that he's going out there trying to eradicate a lot of sword styles that he deems aren't suited for this new world that he's trying to create.
Right.
We back up a little bit. Go back to the mic.
Sorry to do that. I'm just making my point because you didn't agree. But like, if we use that piece of information, then he's really not looking for strong guys. He's looking for weak guys. In fact, he meets Kenshin, decides that he's strong, and walks away.
I thought, trying to get it back. Okay. Went to my Kaiwa dojo. Apparently, these people, I guess we learned a little bit too, that really they really are like dwindling, and people want to learn how to use the sword because my Kaiwa dojo is actually suffering from a shortage of students. Apparently not as badly as like Kairu's dojo is, but it's still kind of bad. Apparently he only gets like 10 plus students if a mysterious swordswoman shows up. So it was like, huh, interesting.
He gets a lot of students, but he says he only has like 10 or less serious students, and then everybody else is just excited to show up when she's there.
It's interesting, like it's like he knows this information, he's using her to bring in students. Which, I mean, I guess she doesn't seem to mind. I think Kyra knows that's what's going on, but I mean, and she only shows up like once a month, so like every other time he's got like 10 or less students in his dojo. Jeez, that's kind of interesting. Before all that, Kyra introduces Kenshin to him, and apparently they look at each other as if they know each other. And at first I thought, is this another person from Kenshin's past? Apparently that he just looked at Kenshin and realized that he wasn't going to be able to win in a fight, so he just gave up. And that's the first person that looked at Kenshin and literally said, okay, yeah, I'm not doing this. The first person. It's like, okay, that's interesting. Didn't expect that to come up. But,
which is a sign that he's wise, at least, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's been around. Apparently, he said his family, his sword style has been around since the Edo period. Period. And it's just their prominence has kind of like dwindled with less people wanting to learn that style of sword. He's like, I guess, the last real competent one. like around, which I guess I feel bad for him too because he's actually old. It seems like he's like to the point where he should not really be getting involved in a serious fight. Um, Unfortunately, as you see later, he gets involved in a serious fight, but only using bamboo swords, which by the way, Rajuta apparently does not like. He hates the fact that bamboo swordplay is becoming such a prominent thing, and he believes it's his his uh his his view on the world is that bamboo sword play is weakening real sword play, and he does not like it. He sees that it's gonna probably cull them out, so instead of getting culled out, he's gonna cull them out, which is like why he's seeking all these weaker sword styles to get rid of them. Which I will sit here and say, as messed up as that sounds, I get it. He's really concerned about like samurai just in general. Unfortunately, he's so concerned that he only sees through a narrow hallway about his sword style, which is what's making this really messed up. But at first you think he's like probably weak compared to Kenshin, and he probably is. Probably not on the same level as Ayoshi, who we were dealing with last arc. But he isn't like somebody to play with, I guess is the best way to put it. The old man pretty much gets involved in a fight with him and loses. Though Kenshin actually prior to this actually was slicing this man up in that old master, and he realized that he was gonna lose. But I'm guessing it probably, I don't know if Kenshin said that he was expecting this to be like a brutal loss, but he foresaw that this old man was gonna lose. And he was going to lose so badly too, because after he lost his second altercation with him, the guy was about to stab him with the prickly edges of a broken bamboo sword that he broke on his shoulder. This was really messed up. Old people in anime, I really feel bad for sometimes because they sometimes get the worst of it when it comes to a fight. They don't really get like any sympathy.
Yeah.
Like at all. Like this was really messed up. He almost killed him. He knocked him out with the second blow, and then Kenshin steps in right before he's about to kill him with the scabbard of his blade, but the scabbard of his sword like locks him. Is like, you already won. Like this is like that is the end of the fight. That it is. I was like, huh. It just like really quick. Apparently he wasn't able to size him up at that instance. He was only able to size Kenshin up after their actual like fight with again wooden swords this time around. What's finding interesting too is like Kenshin's willing to fight him with a wooden sword, and Kenshin apparently I guess wasn't all that. It wasn't like he wasn't. It wasn't like he was concerned. He wasn't sure if wooden sword was gonna be enough to deal with him. I'm guessing. And unfortunately, he was right, mainly because Rajuta goes at him with a technique, a Izuna.
I have it written. Secret Sword Izuna. Yeah.
The secret sword Izuna, and apparently, at least what I can tell from the way they animated it, I think the sword was moving fast enough where it was like appearing wobbly, or like it lost its like form for a split second. I can only imagine, like, based on the way that apparently the little kid that he has with him, whose name is over here, Yutaro Sukayama. I guess I'll back up really quick too. Talking about this kid. Apparently, at some point, I guess a couple of weeks ago or months ago, his father, who likes to, I guess, transfer Japanese swords from like one place in Europe to here, Japan.
No, it's Japan to Europe where he
Okay.
sells them and makes his fortune.
So is he European?
No, he's Japanese, but he sells them to Europe where they're treated like works of art. So he's
He was transferring swords to a buyer.
Right.
Okay, that's what I get
confused. That's how he makes his fortune.
Okay, so his father, I was confused about that entire, like, what they were saying because it was happening so fast. But okay, so Yotaro's father makes a living selling Japanese-made swords to Europe, and apparently he does well enough because he's got a mansion, several houses apparently.
and like a golf course for a yard.
That's true. I guess we see all that after Kenshin gets invited to the house, but
Right.
his son apparently worships this guy, and is apparently learning his sword style from him because Rejuta saved his family from bandits who apparently knew they were carrying merchandise that valuable and was jumping him. So he saved, and apparently now has hired or let this man like stay on the premises, and I guess like a house they have like vacant on his property, on his probably like good sized plot of land somewhere out
Can
there
we
on
talk
his.
about his secret swords Zuna technique for a second?
I mean, I was gonna come back to it because I mean, it wasn't like I was gonna talk about what was going like. It was like I was gonna bring up Yotaro's like background a little bit, but Yotaro. That's a problem. Yotaro is then like Yotaro is kind of just complimenting like how strong this guy was, how much he lived up to him. Apparently calling Kenshin weakling. Yaiko, which by the way, Yaiko comes out of nowhere wearing the dojo uniform for Kendo, whatever, which completely caught me off guard. Apparently, I wasn't on the lone in that one because apparently my co-host here didn't see Yaiko leave either.
No.
So he kind of comes out of nowhere and then like starts talking back to us like, you don't know Kenshin, like, you don't know how strong he really is. You don't know how serious he can be. You don't know how strong he can be when he's serious, which is true. But yeah, they had their little squabble. I have expected those two were gonna get involved in a fight themselves, but I don't know. It seems like that's what they're setting up for them. But again, Yahiko's a little bit more experienced than that kid, based on what I know about Yahiko, and I don't know anything about this Yotaro kid. I'm not sure if he's been taught anything by Rajuda. I assume he's taught him a little bit, considering he's called him sensei. I don't really know. I feel like you only call someone sensei if you learned something from him, but who knows?
That makes sense to me. Yeah.
But
He
yeah,
said he was a top student, right?
did he? I thought
Yeah.
Yahiko said he was the top student at his school.
Yeah, and then the other guy's like, well, oh yeah, well, I'm the top student of sorry, I just completely Rajuda. He like fired back and said, well, I'm the top student of Rajuda.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Okay. So yeah, that little like back and forth happens, and then Judah tells him to back off, or somebody tells somebody to back off. I'm not sure who tells who to back off in that conversation. But then we go back to Rajuda.
I think it was Rajuda. I'm sorry, I think it was Rajuda that tells him to back off, and then Yahiko like was like, yeah, you had to back off, and like was being petty about it.
This is about right. Back to the confrontation with Rajuda and Kenshin. Rajuda reveals a really insane technique. Well, not insane, but it's something we haven't seen before in the show to this point. I don't know what, like, I don't know how they're gonna explain how that technique works, but it looks like it's just a really fast downward strike. Which, by the way, they keep on mentioning that for a guy his size, it's actually really quick. Even Yotaro mentions that like he's really quick. It's his strides apparently because he's a big dude, which makes sense. But it's his strides that make him really quick for him to get around. They make mention of this several times that he's actually quicker than you think he would be. He brings down his sword, and Kenshin manages to touch at the last minute. The sword, the wooden sword, but the Kenshin's wooden sword apparently gets nicked in the process and gets split in half. He hits the ground, and the wooden planks just like there's just a split down the floor when this man swing. After he says secret sword Izuna, which I guess now you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about the secret sword Izuna. So I looked up every single name that I could find in here, and all the names are unique to the anime. Like, there's not any like special things going on with that. But Izuna is the name of a mountain in Japan, Mount Izuna.
Mm-hmm.
there's a cult that originated on that mountain called the Izuna Shugen, which worships a god in the form of a tengu named Izuna Gangen. Um, the mountain's a sacred site for mountain-based religious sects such as Shigondo, and said to be the home of a tengu named Saburo as well. The tengu were originally thought to take the forms of birds of prey and a monkey deity, and they were traditionally depicted with human, monkey, and avian characteristics. I thought it was interesting because in the previous opening, remember we had that bird with the big bill that was like really savage?
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's attack is based on the name of a bird, so I thought that was kind of an interesting little point to think about. So yeah, his attack is named after either a mountain or a cult that worships like a bird-like enemy.
I'm seeing some depictions of a tengu, and some of them actually have like a sword. I would actually almost go out of my way to say that kind of looks like the sword that he's wielding. But I guess swords can look the same regardless. But yeah, they actually do. Now you said that they have like human, monkey, avian characteristics, or monkey avian characteristics. I actually not see that because I was curious. I've seen tengu depicted in anime before, but I've always wondered, besides a bird, what else is about them? Because it looks off to me that it isn't just a bird. Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. There's monkey in there.
Oh, there's a monkey. A silly little monkey.
I guess it makes sense too with the pole that this one's holding. That's cool. Okay, yeah, pretty much like he pretty much makes a pretty big, well, not pretty big, it's a pretty wide slice into the ground, and they mention that this was done with a wooden sword, and then Kenshin in his mind is like, after that happens, Rajuda leaves, realizes that Kenshin is stronger than he appears. Again, people judging Kenshin based on his looks again.
Always a bad idea.
Yeah, pretty much. You end up with that sword on your backside. But he walks off, tells Yutaro to follow him. Yutaro is like smiling because his sensei won, and he's like being petty about it. But Yahiko, they leave, and Kenshin's like, he pretty much says in his mind like, this was done with something much sharper than a blade. Like, which is like, I wonder what that actually means. That was interesting. He pretty much said he picked up that it was something else going on with that sword strike. After all that happened,
it was a special technique.
Yeah, it's true. After all of that, the dojo is shut down. We see Sonosuke, who apparently says that this all happened when he decided to not drop by the dojo. I find funny. I wonder if he's actually upset that it actually all happened. For instance, Kara was upset that they had to close down, not understanding that apparently the dojo being defeated, the master being defeated, meant that he couldn't exactly operate at full capacity right now. And apparently they were going to threaten to burn his dojo sign as a sign that he won against them. There's a bunch of stuff going on here, so far right now, I guess not many people will have faith in learning from him, especially if he lost. That's another sad thing, Rajuda's going around right now, so as far as we know, he's defeating lesser swords to build up his ambition. And then as they're talking about all this, a carriage and a guy who's a butler apparently shows up at the dojo, gives Kenshin a invitation to meet Rajuda at the mansion, where Yotaro, we found out later on, his father is. They go to the mansion. Essentially, at this point, the butler takes Kenshin to Rajuda on a bridge somewhere on the property, and the father tells his son to entertain Kaoru, Sonosuke, and Yahiko, who tagged along. Yotaro decides to be a brat says he's gonna give them like something with pickles. I'm not sure what, I don't remember exactly what he said, but, but it was meant to be insulting. Sanosuke's like, that's a pretty big portion, and then he's like, well, unfortunately, I'm gonna decline. As he's taking his arm wrap off his arm, I assume at this point, before it actually shows up, that they're gonna wrap him to a tree, or just tie him up, which is what I assume they were gonna do.
I love how chill they are about it. They're like, yeah, you're not gonna like this very much, you know. Extremely chill about the whole thing.
I mean, I would be chill about it too. They're not gonna harm him. They're just gonna tie him to a tree. Apparently, not only tie him to a tree, also gag him. I thought that was also intriguing.
Whoa.
Like they put like the top something around his mouth, around his face, and then tie him to a tree. At least Sanosuke does. And essentially they follow Kenshin to where Rajuda is, and they're all hiding in the bushes, listening into what like Kenshin and Rajuda are talking about. And Rajuda pretty much explains that he's concerned about like he asked Kenshin a question about like what's your stance on where swords are, like swordplay, swordsmanship is like right now. He explains that he doesn't like that it seems like bamboo swordplay is making real swordplay weaker. I'm not sure where he's getting his correlation from, because I feel like you learn with the bamboo sword and then you just go up with the material until you're able to, you know, wield an actual sword. But he's concerned that apparently bamboo swordplay is like making real swordplay weaker, and he's like really concerned about like the future of being a swordsman. Again, I understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, it's like, what in the world, man? And it to his end, to, you know, justify, to not justify, but like, you know, achieve his goal of making his sword the only sword that exists in Japan. He's going around defeating dojos of sword styles that he deems weak, and then burning their sign, claiming that he's defeated them. So it makes so that he doesn't, so that way he can define who is worthy to learn his sword technique and who isn't. Whereas calling out the weak and building up the strong. He asks Kenshin's help in this, and Kenshin, as we all know, doesn't like this and says that, you know, we're gonna be at odds here. We're not gonna like each other very much. They find kind of funny that he just straight up says we're not gonna like each other that very much. It's like, it seems very old school anime in terms of like, I don't like you. They don't say that. They just say we're not gonna like each other very much. Essentially, he's just like, I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna fight to like bring you know, to bring down swords. He's not gonna fight with them to, you know, demolish all the swords. He rather build up the life-giving sword. I guess that's what his ideal is right now. Is a, you know, a sword that gives life versus a sword that brings death. And he apparently keeps on saying too that he's not naive to the idea, you know, of swords are used to kill. It's something he brings up again too. So like he's still in that mindset of like, he's still thinking swords do nothing but kill anyway. He's still in that mindset, I guess, like of like what he was doing prior to what he's doing now. I'm probably not doing a good job explaining this, but basically Kenshin is still like, I guess, working through his own issues with his past, while talking to this man who's probably reminding him a little bit of himself back in when he was younger.
Yeah.
But essentially, pretty much, I guess he says this. He says, "I'm not gonna fight with you." Where Judah essentially says that, okay. He draws his sword and says that, I see you as an enemy now. And then Kenshin and him are staring each other back and forth, and then the episode ends.
Like you do.
And I hate, because like they have him draw his sword. I always said it's gonna be a fight next episode, but I'm like, I see his side. I see where Judah's side, but I think he's going about it the wrong way, as you normally would. And he seems like, I'm not gonna say he's not a bad guy, because I'm pretty sure he probably is not the most decent person. But I can see his side. I can see that he's concerned. He's going about it the wrong way, and I guess Kenshin is going to beat that out of him apparently, or try, either or. I'm not sure which it is.
Kenshin does like to beat stuff out of people, doesn't he? Seems to be one of his favorite solutions to problems. Oro?
I'm laughing because you're not wrong. I'm just. I mean, he doesn't kill though. He doesn't kill anymore. I mean, I guess that's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, he just likes to beat them around the head a little bit, and then look at them and be like, Oro?
Cause a concussion here and there, and just in the name of progress. But yeah, it ends there. Again, another solid episode. A little bit more development of like the world that we're in, constantly reminding us that the industrialization is still happening. He's also I forgot that he also wants to, I guess, use the swords to fight against Eastern industrialization using guns and whatnot. He's like apparently wants to, I guess, be able to fight people with guns and cannonballs and stuff like that. And I'm sitting here like, there's only so much you can do with a piece of metal, sharp metal. Sorry, there's only so much you can do with a piece of sharp metal. While there's a mechanism firing hundreds of blunt pieces of metal that sometimes explode on contact. In a little situation, all samurai will be dead. Unless you're really gifted and really quick. I highly thought you would be able to survive a gunfight. You'd probably be dead before you had a chance to get out there. Unless you're Kenshin. He has the ability to split a cannonball with the blunt side of his sword. Or a sharp side.
Yeah, not much gets past Kenshin's sword.
Yeah, like he's quick. That's another thing too I had to bring up too. I guess like I mentioned several episodes ago about like there's something up with Kenshin's sword style. I guess you picked up on it anyway. They bring up here that Rajita says that like Kenshin must be using an ancient sword fighting technique. I think that's a hint towards like I guess what Kenshin's kind of using, because Kenshin's able to detect too that he's not using a normal. Like Vegeta is also not using a normal sword style. Normal people use. So we're getting hints that apparently it's possible that maybe they're using techniques that aren't quote unquote normal techniques. They're sword styles that just aren't used anymore or not normal. Whatever that means. So I'm putting air quotations in the air that you can't see. I'm still doing it. I am not Nixon. Okay. Guess with that's you have something to say?
No, not necessarily. Do you think Rajuta's gonna be like a long-term enemy, or do you think this is just like kind of like a fun little like side thing, or what?
I think this is just a side thing. I think really what's really going on, I think they're just using Vegeta to like push the whole idea of the world itself, because he displays the man fighting against a changing world. I think it's basically what he kind of represents. While Kenshin believes, I think Kenshin also kind of like, I think Kenshin's already said he feels the same way kind of, but he's still fighting with himself over whether swords can give life and whatnot, as he said in the first episode.
Yeah, he's fighting with a purpose and the other guy's not. The other guy seems to be basically a killer. You know what I mean? Like, he was taking a killing blow at Kenshin. He was going to kill the master. He probably killed all the bandits, let's face it, that attacked that place. But I don't see a lot of potential in him in being a long-term enemy. I could see him somehow becoming like sort of a friend or ally, except for the fact that he's already killed so many people. Like, I don't know how Kenshin would ever turn him around from that. So this seems like
if he were to become an ally, I think it could be possible. I mean, really, Vegeta's only real concern is just that he's afraid that the idea of a swordsman which his dad did to keep on pushing so far this entire show. Overarching ideas that, you know, this is something you like. You know, overarching ideas to keep pushing is that, you know, it seems like the way of the sword's kind of on its way out, and he's
Right.
concerned about that. He's like, Vegeta is like an example of somebody who's really concerned about it and is actually going to trying to do something about it. Unfortunately, the way he's going about it, as someone will probably agree, is kind of messed up. Like, again, I said before, as I said earlier, like I get where he's coming from. At the same time, the way he's going about it probably isn't the best way, because all you're really doing is sowing fear, and maybe he wants to be a dictator. I don't know, but it's one of, it sounds like it's one of those things where he wants to control who and who does not have access to a sword. Like, apparently, like, so far he's not being any better than what's already happened with the sword ban. Which, by the way, I think we're ignoring that now because there's just a bunch of people walking around with blades.
There are.
I mean, so far, almost every person who you've like seen that's been in a conflict with Kenshin has been walking around in daylight with a sword. The big
Well,
man.
this guy's been walking around in the woods, so it's hardly like obvious.
But he walked to a dojo. I'm pretty sure that's in the middle of a city, or in the ends of a city somewhere. And he had to walk by some people. And like with
Yeah, that's a good point.
and with Ayoshi, I guess like Ayoshi.
He didn't walk. He wasn't holding a sword when he walked in. The kid that was running up with him was the one that brought the
But he
sword.
was the one. Didn't the kid? I think the point still stands. It's just on a different character.
Yeah.
And Ayoshi, granted, with him, his sword was hidden in his jacket, so he was able to get away with it in a crowd of people. I guess maybe we're not ignoring the sword ban. Maybe the Vegeta just doesn't care. For quite possibly, he just doesn't care anymore. The Vegeta was carrying swords on the property of his of the guy that he saved. So I don't. I mean, maybe that guy has like some sway with the political people that, you know, people on
Well,
his property
again,
can use carry a sword around.
remember I said that I don't think um, I don't think swords are banned on personal property because that guy's a merchant for swords, so he would really like be compromised if he couldn't sell swords.
No, that's true. I'm just pointing out that I think maybe that was one of the few things that even brought attention to as a sword ban in the first 2 episodes, and I'm just not realizing that. I think that whole idea is out the window.
The whole idea of a sword ban.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see them trying to. I mean, like right now, it's like, okay, we have a lot of, there's gonna be fights in the future using swords, like unless like the sword ban isn't as heavily enforced of an idea as we think it is like right now. Maybe it's just been implemented and they're still trying to work through enforcing it. It's like the idea of a gun. I mean, it's against the law to walk around with this thing apparently, but people still do it. You know, they may like. I mean, you're not supposed to walk around like concealed or at all. People still do it. But maybe it's one of those things. It isn't like it's something, but it doesn't get enforced. And again, Vegeta might just not care. I mean, it might be one of the situations because I mean, he's all about like he's afraid of the samurai way going away. But I do like the show. I like the ideas they're pushing. Again, Kenshin's really cool. Yahiko's cool. Sonosuke when he's there is interesting. Pyro again, you know, showing that she's competent, which I like.
Yeah, I like that she's kind of a heroic character. She was going to stand up and fight that guy even though she had no chance of losing, which is why Kenshin agreed to fight him in the first place. But she was like, I'll fight you then if nobody else is going to. And then Kenshin's like, all right.
I sort of building up to her actually getting in the middle of an actual fight that matters, but I couldn't tell you when or where. I feel like all of this is just building up to a fight that she gets involved in, but I couldn't tell you who, when, or where. So I guess that'd be interesting to see whenever it happens, or if it happens. And I wonder if Yahiko's gonna fight that kid. I could see maybe Kenshin taking down Rajuda and Rajuda walks away ashamed and whatnot. Maybe a changed man. Yorotaro doesn't like that or something like that, and maybe Yorotaro comes back later. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. I don't know anything.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be rivals and have something going on with that. There's no way that's not going to happen.
But yeah,
I mean,
I
I don't see how they don't have a fight at some point. Do you?
I mean, I can see them not having a fight. I feel like this kid's like a spoiled rich kid who doesn't really know the first thing of a sword or how sword fights work.
Right.
Now, unless that changes, possibly. I don't know that this kid's gonna be important for anything later, because he's attached to Rajuda, and I mean, unless Rajuda losing is what tips the scales over for him to want to get serious and know how to fight. I don't know. Or if Yaiko gets involved in, like, you know, puts him on the ground or something, I don't know. Like, I really don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, yeah, it's possible, maybe. It's not, nothing's impossible with this show.
Yeah, I mean, there's still definitely some surprises waiting to happen. I think that's pretty clear.
I guess with that we can end. I guess the podcast here. Episode 15 was a good one. I wanna say thank you to everybody. What?
You want to watch the next one?
I mean, well, that's obvious. We'll be here next week. I think on President's Day, unless otherwise stated. I don't have anything to. Huh?
I can do it.
Okay, to all that stated, episode at President's Day, we'll be watching episode 16, titled "The Ideal Man." But that's not ominous.
Hubba hubba.
Okay, guys. As always, thank you guys for watching on YouTube. I'm seeing the views. Thank you.
Thanks, Brazil.
You got it. That I swear, like that Brazil person. I sure hope they find this podcast again.
So
It's no longer on the platform that it once was. It's easier to keep it on YouTube. So unfortunately, I apologize. But if you're that one Brazil guy and you find the podcast again, thank you for watching as well. I mean, until then, see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody.